welcome back, everybody. This is Girls Only Sports. I am Candace, back with my two of my favorite people in the world. We love to talk Ohio basketball, girls basketball. The always wonderful Tanisha Benson, Angie Sater. Had some big tournaments during the Martin Luther King weekend, but we had one specifically put on by one of our guests, hoop recruits, Tanisha Benson. So I'm gonna just start off right off the back. Can you give us some information on how it is to put on a tournament like this, the MLK Showdown at Big Walnut? You had international teams, out of state teams, nationally ranked teams, a McDonald's All American, had a whole bunch of players who are already committed to D1 schools. How do you put on something like this?
First, I've got to shout out my guy Brooks Hall, because he literally is the mastermind behind scheduling. I have the pleasure of knowing everyone. His ability to put the teams together and with the matchups, and there were really very rare blowouts, which is very design of what we're trying to do. We don't want just teams just to be there. We really want games. We want college coaches to see kids compete at a high level. And I felt like this year we nailed that. Just seeing a ton of teams from out of state, quite a few Canadian teams. And then Ohio, that's what Ohio does. They really showed out against some of the, out of state teams, as well as in state. But yeah, it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. It takes a year in advance, sometimes 2 years, to really get those teams, travel arrangements, hotels. There's just a lot that goes into it. And so when you're able to pull something off like that, you've got to shout out your team. Starting off with Brooks and the rest of the team. They did a great job this year.
I will have to say your layout for the coaches, the staff, and the media.
The hospitality room.
Listen.
Oh my.
The coffee. Let's just start with the coffee first, guys. I mean,
Angie, the coffee. You remember the shakes?
Oh,
listen.
And the shakes for lunch. I was in heaven. Yeah. But the coffee, that was just like, y'all know I need that.
Right. Oh man. But thank you for sharing that, and thank you for taking care of us while I was there.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing what it is to put on. I mean, there's so many teams, you got to get them in and out, and then you guys awarded after the game a MVP of the game, and all that stuff takes place. Now, with all that you do, who sticks around and decides who the player of the game is?
That's not me. Come at me. It's a collection. We take stats during the event, so we're able to see kind of from a statistical category as well as an impact of the game. And there's a collection of about 2-3 people that make that decision. And this year, Big Walnut was our partner
for sure, and
they did an incredible job. And they're a part of that selection as well. So it's fun when you've got a good partner. We're great this year, but no, Benson will not.
You're not taking the claim for that.
No, absolutely. Unless you got something, a gift card, then yeah, I selected. Other than that, no.
But that puts us in a great space, though. So we have a perspective for somebody. You don't pick the player of the game, but perspective from somebody who hosted. But then with Angie, she's somebody obviously who covers so many different teams, players, showcases, events. So coming into any kind of basketball event, but especially something like this, what are some of the things that you look for as you write up on players to highlight, teams to highlight? And sometimes, it's always the little things too. It's not necessarily always the highest score. So could you share a little bit about that for, those players out there and those parents out there who always look for, why isn't my kid highlighted, getting shine? And you're, one of the ones behind the scenes writing all the articles. What are some of the things that you look for?
There's a lot of things that I look for. So again, there's a laundry list of things. I'm looking for people that are hustling. I'm looking for people that are like doing the dirty work, going after the rebounds, playing tight defense, how they look at their coach, how they, how they're, how they're focusing on their teammates
Mhm.
and the coach and not parents or reactions. Like I'm looking at all of that stuff. Yes, points are great. The stats for rebounds are great. Stats for assists are great. But I'm like looking at like their court vision. I'm
Mhm.
looking at how they get along with their teammates. Um, and I'm thinking of it from a standpoint of like, I want to be a voice for all kids. So, sure, is it outstanding that like there's some kids that are that are going to the Big 10
Right.
or Big 12 or whatever?
Right.
Yes, that's outstanding, but that's not everyone. Like, not everyone is in that. There's a lot of kids that are going D2,
Right.
going D3. And so I want their name out there. I want coaches to know about them. I talk to coaches when I'm at these events. So there may be times that maybe you don't see me like typing like this during the game, but I'm having also conversations with coaches like, hey, who you looking for? Because I've got some names at the top of my head that I think could play for your program.
Mm.
So I love having those kind of conversations. Those are just some of the things that I kind of look at.
Yeah. I hope people who watch you and heard you take it in, because if you wonder, how players get their names out there and things like that, it's not, like she said, it's not always looking at the stats. It's all the nuances that happen during the basketball game. And trust, I always say at events like this, everybody's watching and you don't know who knows who. And
Uh-huh.
people are connected. So be sure you're on. Not only do you play hard, but also make sure that you know that everybody's watching everything, especially at a showcase. But let's get into some of these matchups and games that Benson put on, and me and Angie were able, with our shakes, to get a front row seat to get a front
With
row
the
seat to
coffee.
witness. Oh yes. But one of the big games that happened during your event was Purcell Marion, who, as we know, won three straight state championships. Played Springboro, who was a Division 1 team, who was in the Division 1 state final last year. So, could you tell me a little bit about their matchup and some of the players that had pretty good games during that matchup?
I mean, you're talking about collectively some of the top players, if not probably the biggest collection of the best players in the state,
Hmm.
all on the floor, which is kind of the game we wanted to create there. And that, and not often are they seeing each other just because they're in two different divisions.
Right.
So you got to see a lot of Division 1 players on the floor.
Yeah.
Fun, of course, obviously D. Alexander and Bryn Martin being the highest ranked out of that collection, and then just a ton of them. Trent and the twins and Miller. I mean, just you got a lot of firepower, but most importantly, you've got a historical set of teams that have really been staples in this state.
Right.
Going against each other. So not just players matchups. Yeah, we've seen a lot of one-on-one matchups, and we saw that throughout the game. But then we're also seeing these teams have together a strategy, a plan to be able to execute each other. And that part was really cool because they play two different styles. You've got who's like super, they've got great size. They love half court, right? They're gonna put up threes, et cetera, et cetera. And then you've got Purcell Marion, who has everything, but they're gonna run and press you the whole game. So you have two different styles colliding, and let's just say it was definitely a matchup,
and it was physical.
Yes, it
You
was.
talk about a clash of styles. The whole style I saw was just who's getting on the floor first, who's bruising who, but they were putting bodies on bodies during that game.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, watching Samaya Wilkins for Purcell Marion and the work that she was doing on Anaya Trent, and it was just that was yeah, that was
really good.
big.
I would, not to cut you off, Angie, I would want to mention, I was expecting Anaya Trent to get more activity on the offensive end. That would be something that, once the tournament starts, to incorporate her more, especially in the offense, to get that Springboro offense going, could be a good
Right.
thing. But not, I can't knock the defense. Like I said, they were making things extraordinarily difficult. But I wanted to see Anaya get the ball a little bit more and opportunities to go to work.
Yeah.
Well, that type of player. She can do it. Defensively, it's just, and she's a baby. So the defense is just like crazy. But I mean crazy, like I've known her since like she was little, like crazy the amount of work and commitment she's put in.
Wow.
Love that kid. She's amazing.
Hey, talk about like how you kind of notice like the attitude and how they behave. I will never forget Wilkins. And I think it was this game. I think it was this game, or was it the Monday's game? Regardless, though, there was a play towards, I don't know, it was close games towards the end of the game. And Samaya looks at the official and she was like, oh, come on. Come on. And I'll tell you, it had me and like 2 or 3 other coaches that were sitting beside me cracked up. But it was just warm to watch. Like there was nothing rude about it. And then like when the girl was going to the line and shooting, Samaya still looked over at the official and she goes, like that. And I just think it was just total respect.
Mm-hmm.
But it was done in like it was just done right. And to me, that's an example of like, yeah, I want that girl on my team,
right?
Because she's coachable, and she may not have agreed with the play, but you know what? But she kept her cool about it. She didn't let it get to her.
Yeah.
And that was a big moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
With any other players during that game, I know one player we always like to shout out that kind of flies under the radar on that Purcell team is Trinity Small.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And especially if she can knock down a 3 ball, it turns them into a different team.
And she did that. She came up big. It was always at the right time. Like her feet are set. Like it's just that automatic. But yeah, I thought she played really, really well. Yeah.
She does her job. I mean, I think it's so hard to be surrounded by that much talent and having so much attention on those young girls to where you can kind of get dismissed.
Yeah.
And not intentionally. It's so much firepower. But then when you see who showed up and who played and made the plays that maybe not make a highlight, that's Miss Smalls right there, 100%. Like she's done that consistently for a pretty good time. You got to remember, like she's a senior.
Yeah.
She's been involved in this process for a very long time, but very rarely gets mentioned. And I'm glad she's being mentioned today because she has consistently been a reason why they've done well.
But yeah, I would agree with you though. She played really, really well. I'll tell you. Go ahead.
Oh no,
you go ahead.
We were on the same wavelength.
We were.
Yeah.
Because I was about ready to say, and I'll tell you
ahead.
who played phenomenal for Springboro was Mackenzie Jones, and what a game that she had. And I'm telling you, from the moment that ball was tipped, she was on a mission.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how many rebounds that child had in the first half, but it felt like she was daggone nearly the only one that was rebounding. I mean, her arm, she let's just say she got some attention, because I'll tell you what, shortly after that, she got some offers.
Yeah. Don't you think? I'm sorry. I've always got to stir the pot. Sorry. Don't you, slightly personal. Like you leave there, you go to Springboro.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, she matched energy, and you could feel it. She matched it.
That's what I felt too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like she was ready for that.
Right.
Yep.
Which even more.
Yeah.
And she knew what was coming because she's played it.
Yeah.
Like she's been part of it.
Yeah.
You know.
So So, but yeah, I thought she just played a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
And was knocking down buckets, laying it in the rim with, and bumped and she just and she was another one that just kind of let it go. Like there was no like, and what? Like she just like put
I
it
don't know,
up.
Angie.
And
She flexed a couple times. I got
there
her.
were, there
Yeah.
was a couple times shoot, man, I'd be
Couple times
watching
she got
too.
an and one or two. She made her presence known. Oh yeah.
She did. Yeah, she did.
I love the way she played that game. But Purcell and Springboro was a really, really good one. I don't want to, make my choice the big choice, but the next game we talk about, Big Walnut versus St. Vincent St. Mary. You guys tell me, was that not the best game of the MLK showdown? Was it not?
That's up there.
Listen,
it was good. It was good. It was one of those games you just didn't want anybody to lose.
The event host had the late game. What was that, Saturday? And playing St. Vincent St. Mary, obviously from Akron, Ohio, two Ohio-based teams. It ends on a buzzer beater. Shout out to Tatum Smith, who first of all, she was just knocking down big shots all game.
She was.
So it got to a point was, which one do you not want to have the ball? And at a certain point, you didn't want 42 to get it. But what a shot that she hit. But from your guys' perspective, just let me know what you guys thought about the game and some of the players in matchup.
It was intense. I mean, you're essentially when you partner with a host team, the crowd's gonna come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it was already electrifying in the gym anyways.
And Big Walnut had their student section too.
Oh, and they were, I don't even know what to say, but they were a really good student section. I'll say that.
They were.
Which made it even more entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that back and forth the entire game. And I think you had in Big Walnut a lot of up-and-coming stars on that team with Remy and Sid and good Lord. I mean, there's a ton of them that are on that team.
Hold on. You mentioned Remy. Listen. Did she put on her best Caitlin Clark impersonation? Like, you talk about a heater.
Yeah, she can get hot quick.
Man. And let's just say there were some college coaches sitting on the baseline who every time the ball went up had the, okay now.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Yeah.
She put on a show.
Yes, she did.
Young, powered going there. And then you've got St. V who's they're young too, but some veterans that are on that team, and that team has been established for a lot longer than what Big Walnut has done. That program around literally in a year, less than 2 years.
Yep.
And you just saw that clash the entire game in your own court.
Yeah.
And then for it to end in a buzzer beater. And as soon as Tatum shot, I was just like, oh my Lord. As the event host, I'm like, oh my.
Not you got the host team losing at home with a buzzer beater.
I was like, what just happened? And then, I mean, he storms the floor. A state tournament game. I'm like, we're in security. We don't have security. They're playing. So our staff was literally cheering for it. It was intense.
Yeah.
It really was. For Akron, I really like that Melanie, is it Cornute?
Mm-hmm, Cornute.
I like her at the point guard, and she just has such a just a great ability of just knowing when her teammates are going to cut, and she just places that rock right where it's supposed to be. And she can put up numbers too, scoring wise, but her and Kendall Batchkick, she was knocking down some big buckets from outside. And she's just so calm. Like it just like, yeah, I just made a shot and I'm going back. And that's how she plays consistently. Sydney Ferguson, beast. Like, beast.
Yeah.
That's the freshman.
Yeah.
She even made. I even got a picture of her doing that where she's like, and I was like,
Whew.
hmm,
You
She's
mean
yeah, huh?
she if you wanted, and this is like you said, Angie, how you evaluate during events like this, and even for like a media person or a person just getting into girls basketball, you come to this, you want to know who the players are. A Sydney stands out, and you wouldn't guess that was a freshman in the type of game she played that day.
No,
No.
you would not have, because I'll tell you, she stepped up
Yeah,
She
for
had a
sure.
it wasn't just offensively. Remember, she's going against Sydney Mobley,
Yeah.
top 20.
Uh-huh.
So not only do you have to go in there thinking, okay, offensively, I've got to be effective. I've got to have some impact on my team. But I also have to go in and defensively, I've got to alter
Yep.
and train Sydney Mobley.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about? It's not something that a freshman is just like, yeah, you know what? She's about that life. She really is. She
Yeah.
doesn't mind. Not mind at all. She embraces that. She takes that on. And that's what's so cool about seeing that in a freshman, because she's got so much time to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
Her
And
Yeah.
you know, we can end off on Sydney. I mean, what can you say? She's a sophomore this year, so she's a baby herself. But even
Mhm.
seeing her play a couple times this year, one of the things that always just intrigues me is seeing the jumps that players make, and you see them add elements to their game. And I had done a tournament earlier this year where it was like, okay, Sydney, now you know you're bringing the ball up the court. Oh, now you're extending that range to the mid range and the 3-point line, and it's like you get that signal in your head, like, uh, if teams are going to have to try to contain her in any way, are going to have a tough time, because now it's getting to the point where not only are you adding things to your game, but now she's getting comfortable using those tools during the game.
right, 100%.
Yeah. She's just, I mean, there's a reason why she's one of the top 2027s in the country. I mean, Mobley's just, and she's just a worker and a sponge for the game. Like she works at it and studies it, and you love that in a
Yeah.
player. I gotta give a shout out to Denza Allen
Mhm.
too. Flipping daggone beast, man. Like grabbing boards. I pity the fool that has to like guard her, because like you're gonna feel bruised like the next few days after working against her. And oh man, I'm gonna love seeing her at Bowling Green.
Oh, shout out to my alma mater.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, at least we pull. I don't know all of the players, but we got one of the Millers. We got Denza Allen, and she has my last name. We're not related, but hey, we all going to the same school.
Stuff. All the green stuff. Yeah,
Shout out
There
to
amazing.
the
you go.
mid majors, and they have that really nice gym. Like they going to a good place.
Yep.
Now, granted, it's only like a Kroger. I haven't been there in a minute, but it was like a Walmart and a Meijer, and that was it.
I think that's still it. I'm just,
Oh, not you hating.
Let's try not to say that, because we got to make sure that Bowling Green's and like I don't want
Oh,
him to tap me,
No, the
man.
gym is laid out. They'll be taken care of on campus. It's just, the road or two up Main Street.
Yeah.
they're going. You know, like that.
Oh man.
They're
Yeah,
going in-
but
They are. They're in good hands. They're in really good hands.
Yeah, good
Might
school.
not have, but they're getting.
A couple other teams before I let you guys go at the MLK Showcase. Brush was one of the teams that we wanted to highlight. Have some really, really good players. Where do you guys see this Brush team going as we get near? Because February is going to be here and the tournament's going to start. It's coming up really soon. Like time is flying by. Where do you see this Brush team going?
They're going to create a lot of problems for some people. I think that if they start preparing now for that level of a stage, it's not about winning one game. It's about putting games together. And I feel like they've got a lot of talent on that team, just natural ability on that team. But it's going to be the small things, like the composure, the strategy, how to put all those things together. That part right there is what's going to be a very big difference for them going late into the tournament. they can win games. It's winning consecutively when they have your scouting report, when they take this away, when they take that away, when they don't give you this option. Are you able to make those adjustments, keep your composure, and then force your will onto that other team? Mm-hmm. That is what I want to see, because this team is very young. They're very, very young. Mm-hmm. I mean, jumping on everybody in sight, and they're loud about it. Mm-hmm. It's not like they're quiet. It's not like, oh, we got a little win. No, they like, yeah, we in here. This is what we do. And whoa, like they are fearless. And tenacious defensively and offensively. They can get a bucket at any given time. They're going to get to the free throw line. There's just so many things they can do from the guard perspective. And they got really good size too. Mm-hmm. Like you got the whole team put together. Like, if they do that, man, yeah, Brush could really cause a lot of problems for some people.
Yep.
What about Harvest Prep? That was another team we had our eye out on. Who won? I believe they got in the districts. They won the districts last year. Where do we see Harvest Prep and their chances coming up in February and March?
The truth, they better have Lofton on that floor.
They need her.
Because everyone is young. Mm-hmm. It's okay. You still need veteran leadership, and you need ones that have experience. That's what makes teams. We're not just talking about individual players. If Lofton was out there by herself, okay, cool. No, she still wouldn't be enough. Mm-hmm. You've got her with Carter, with
Gamble.
With Gamble. You've got to put all to make it make sense. And then I think you've got a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because when they turn up their defense, because I've seen it year after year, but I'll tell you, Lofton is like, she's the heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, she gets things clicking.
Mm-hmm. It is what it is. It is. Is it Nadi's program at Purcell? Okay, so you know what I mean. So when you lose that player to an injury for however long, it makes it tough.
Right.
I mean,
but if they get her back and she's able to control the show, because that's what she does as the point guard. I like Harvest Prep, and I've loved the way they played. I mean, they played with a specific type of intensity that sometimes I think is missing. Is missing in the girls' game a little bit. But when they ramp up, like you say, Angie, they ramp up that pressure. They make some things shake.
Yeah.
I'd run out of timeouts fast if I was going to I'd be using up all of them within the first 4 minutes of the first quarter.
Right.
Yeah.
I know we talked about the MLK showcase, and once again, we have to thank Benson for taking good care of us, and I'm pretty sure all those teams appreciate just coming to an event like that and being able to play tops teams, being able to be highlighted, and thank you guys both for sharing your knowledge on that. I was able to go to the Nubian Classic that's held here in Columbus at African Central High School. There was a game I wanted to mention and highlight. Purcell played Pickerington Central. We shout him out a lot, but shout out to Coach Mosley. And also, he's not the only one, but he will put the toughest teams on his schedule. He does not shy away from anybody. I can appreciate a head coach. He has that kind of Don Staley mentality. Give me every ranked team. Wins come, losses come. It doesn't matter, but I'm preparing my kids for obviously what their success has been over the last 3 years. So salute him for that, and salute his players for always accepting that challenge to step in and play Pick Central, which came down to a buzzer beater. And one of the big reasons I wanted to mention this game is to give a shout out to Zoe Coleman at Pickerington Central, who played phenomenally. And I'm pretty sure you guys have seen Zoe, even though she's a young one too. Can you just speak on her a little bit and her growth and what you guys see of her this year?
She's looking tough. I've seen her play a few times this year, and she's just someone that can kind of take over the game. And not, it just kind of comes within the flow of the offense. I mean, she attacks as soon as she sees a seam, and I mean, she can put up. She just has so many different tools and things that she can do to score. Whether it's shooting from deep, the Euro step, the mid range, but her speed and just that quick first jab move, like it
Yep.
just it's tough to stop.
Yeah.
And she can put up numbers really, really quick. But she's got a great cast of. I mean, there's a lot to this team. You got London Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
that's 6'1", and I love what she does down low and in the paint. Blossom Wallace,
Always competes.
yeah, I mean, like,
Always.
God love her. It's in her blood. Like,
Yeah.
she does nothing else. I mean,
She's just a competitor.
that's just what the Wallaces do.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. But yeah, she's just a Tasmanian devil on defense. And so you've got her and Kennedy Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've loved what that girl's done the last few years, and but she's stepping up
Mm-hmm.
and connecting on some buckets, and
Yep.
she's just an athletic guard that with speed, and I think her game is going to, we haven't even seen it, like it is going to really, I think it's going to really rise when she's in college. And
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, I had to mention that game. It was an awesome game. And once again, shout out to Purcell Miriam, willing to take on everybody, and shout out to Pick Central for battling back and being able to get in control and win it on a buzzer beater. But we, obviously expect Pickerington Central to hang around as the tournament comes up. I know they're gonna miss the point guard.
Riley Bess.
Yeah, she's just she's a hell of a player, and
She is.
I love traditional point guards and what they can do and control the show. And she was one of the best ones in Ohio still, even though she's out for this season. But she'll be on the bench cheering them along. But that Pick Central team, I had to give them a shout out for the way they played.
Yeah.
But as always, I thank you guys both for joining me on the show. We'll be back 2 more times. One is just going to be reviewing the tournament once it starts. And then another one is going to be reviewing the state finals when that starts. So we're gearing up for those times. So it's going to be exciting. All these players, especially the seniors, being able to go out on their last year to try to get a championship. We'll have more than 4 this year. As everybody knows, there's 7 divisions. So we'll have 3 new state champions. So we'll get some of those teams and players and hopefully get them on the show to highlight them and talk about their experiences. But as always, thank you, Tanisha Benson, Angie Sater. I am Candace Allen, and this is Girls Only Sports.